Hello, welcome to an episode of Duma Talk slash Straws, or whatever I decided to title this, because episode 1 was about furries and eyes. If you've seen it, in this episode, of course, if you can read the title, then you probably already know. It's about Irken, anatomy, and the InvaderZIM headcanons, and other things that you might like. So if you haven't noticed already, Irkens are basically the characters, the main aliens of InvaderZIM. They have no hair on their heads. They have I'm gonna get to that later. Antenna on the top of their heads. They have round eyes and 2 reflections in their eyes, which we'll also get to, because a lot of people seem to not understand how the reflections in their eyes work. Let's make them stare at cake, because it's a lie. We all know it's a lie. Alright, so aliens, if this hasn't rung a bell, and yes, I'm not drawing them accurate to the show because I have my own style of drawing them. Get over it. Which I will also talk about. Let me just pause this video. I am back, and I also stopped recording by mistake because I do that a lot. Back to InvaderZIM. Basically, there are a lot of things that exist within this fandom that are untold. For now, actually I'll leave the drawing here. And the cake. Nah, let's get rid of the cake. So basically, the first thing I'm going to address is the tallest members. The first 2 members of the tallest were tallest Miyuki and Spork. I might be spelling their names wrong, so forgive me if I am. Their names do have meaning, which would be on the InvaderZIM wiki, because I do not remember everything about my fandom. Believe it or not. There's just so much to absorb. You can't possibly know everything unless you're Johnen Vasquez. Even if you are Johnen Vasquez, some of the things fans create will probably slip from you. Basically, tallest Miyuki and Spork are both connected to Zim. And you know how? He killed them. Yes, InvaderZIM killed the first 2, well, not decidedly the first 2 leaders of his race, but the last 2 leaders of his race. Before the current tallest red and purple. I drew on the same layer because I'm smart. So basically, tallest Miyuki and Spork. What happened to Zim is that when he was, before he became a soldier, also forgive me, my art program is being dumb right now. Before Zim became a soldier, Zim was a scientist. And yes, this was proven somehow, I believe. Unless it's some fan-based knowledge that was spread around and somebody said it was true and it isn't. But until then, until then, I still believe it to be true, because I learned it, and usually I don't learn things unless I get it from a reliable source. What happened to Zim is that he was a scientist working on, I don't know, just new ways to conquer different distant worlds and stuff like that. And what happened to him was he kind of created a type of parasite, really. And when Zim created this parasite, I don't know, like huge glob monster, nobody's sure what it looks like. We know it's a parasite, we don't know what it looks like. Let's give it a long tongue, because I can. So he created this weird parasite thing. It might have been blind. It might have like 8 eyes. We don't know. And this parasite thing was basically so impressive that he had to go show the tallest or something. And the tallest came over to see the parasite. It broke loose and it killed them. It ate their brains, or whatever his parasites tend to do. And I believe, I believe this part was unconfirmed, that he came back to go pick up the parasite. It broke free once more, and it killed like most of the scientists. And so then he was sent to become a soldier instead, because they decided his destruction, if he's going to destroy things, it might as well be other planets. So this parasite basically killed the first 2 tallest members, and they made him a soldier instead of a scientist. They said, okay, you're fired from this job, but you're still a respectable person because it wasn't your fault, blah, 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 blah. Or whatever happened. It's not like there's a script telling exactly what that happened that day. There's fan fiction for that, but other than that, there's nothing official saying exactly what happened that day. He became a soldier. And what happened is, as we all know, during impending Doom 1, he destroyed his home planet, and they were like, okay, you're definitely dangerous, you're out of here. Another thing is, when he was a soldier in training, because you get training before you do this stuff, he was in a whole class of students, and because of his height, he was a laughingstock. I can't draw. So basically, there were many students in that class. Give them goofy eyes because I'm way too lazy for this today. So there was red. Actually, tallest red and purple were known as Irken elite soldiers, red and purple. And Zim was also a member of the Irken elite. There's a sketch somewhere. I don't know where exactly. I don't know. I'm not sure if I can exactly bring it up. Of Zim in an Irken elite uniform. It's all fancy, and I don't exactly remember what it looks like, but it was a nice uniform. And had the Irken insomnia over here. And why I drew the insomnias over here was because it was believed. This is just a headcanon, no one knows this for sure, that the Irken insomnia with 2 eyes was for tallest Yuki and Spork, and the Irken insomnia that's simplified is for red and purple. It might be the other way around, but this is just ideas people came up with, as there are animation errors throughout the show where this insomnia turns into this one for some reason. People are not sure. People think that there might have been an argument or dispute over which Irken insomnia they needed on the ships. And there's some people that believe that since the symbol over here came from the first 2 tallest members, that the oldest ships still have them on their as their logos, and because they're old ships, and the newest ships of the Irken Armada have this symbol on it, or it might be the other way around. But those are ideas that the fans spread around that are pretty cool. Going back to Zim, as we all know, her Irkens have a system based on height. Let's do a little chibi of something here. Their system is based on height, so smaller Irkens are a lot decided that this is not proved, but it is believed by other Irkens that they're dumber, which is proven to be false, but nobody believes this anyway. So they're believed by other Irkens to be dumber and whatnot, and that's why the tallest members of their society are believed to be the smartest. Of course, this is all kind of BS, because you know what runs their society? They're computers. That's right. Irkens, they might have been a society at one point with actual families and whatnot, but it is believed that their computer dominated them. It is not completely certain whether a computer actually created the race in the first place or not, but it is believed by some fans, not most fans, but that Irkens used to be an actual race, kind of like the humans, and one day their computers kind of dominated them, and the computer decided what jobs they would have, what they would be. And the Irkens, of course, became controlled by their PAKs. There's an episode, so this is actual fact right here, that I forgot what it was called. It was an episode that was going to be aired, but the problem with that is that Johnen, because of all the Zadar shippers out there, you know who you are, because of all the Zadar shippers out there and the rest of the fan base, he said that he wasn't going to continue the show. The show wasn't popular enough either, so he said, you know what, I'm done with this. So what happened was InvaderZIM ended up being canceled before some of the rest of the episodes were released. And one of the episodes explained the many mysteries that we all know and love about Zim's PAK. And there are soldiers without PAKs, which might be animation errors, and they're also very confusing because some PAKs have spots and some do not. Once again, might be an animation thing, as most of these Irkens were observed in episode 1 that didn't have PAKs or had PAKs without spots. So they might just be simplified animation. We might be looking too hard, or they really don't have PAKs. And the purpose of a PAK is basically to keep the Irken alive. Without a PAK, an Irken does not have a brain. Well, the Irkens, of course, they have some type of organ that directs their brain functions and does does that and whatnot, and makes their arms and legs move and whatnot. But their PAK, all the information stored in it is their actual mind. It's them. And an unwritten episode, not unwritten, but an unaired episode, the script basically shows that Zim gets hit with a dodgeball, if I remember correctly. I read the script a whole bunch of times, but it's been like 3 years since I read it, so I need to reread it again. And what happens is Zim's PAK just gets totally blown off by a dodgeball or whatever, gets knocked off, and he doesn't realize it's gone until Dib finds it, and he's like, wow, I must hack into it, see what it is and what it does. So Dib, of course, takes the PAK, and what happens to him is the PAK immediately, it's looking for a new owner. So what it does is the PAK attaches to Dib. And you can tell, if you were Dib right here now, you would be freaking out because you have an alien. You have an alien's device just stuck to you. I'm sorry, this took me a long time to finish that one sentence. So Dib, he was just kind of wondering what the hell is going on because Zim's PAK just stuck right onto him. And then they find, then he tries taking it off and it's stuck to him. It's attached to his internal organs or whatnot. So what happens to Dib? Oh, now I remember the name of this episode. It's called 10 Minutes to Doom. You can look up the script and read it yourself. This was an actual episode that was going to air. So basically Zim's PAK sticks to Dib, and Dib just kind of freaks out, and he learns that what happens is a PAK detached from its owner will immediately try to reconnect, because yeah, it just does, and it will connect to the first being in contact with it that doesn't have a PAK, because he's human. He obviously doesn't have one, which is why it picked up on him so fast. And what happens is the PAK gets stuck to Dib, and he learns that the PAK basically contains all of Zim's mindset, all of his memories, and he becomes, throughout the episode, he becomes more and more like Zim, which is basically a brainless machine designed to follow the computers. And another thing about Irkens is that they mindfully follow their rulers, knowing that the rulers might not be the best because the computers say that's what they're supposed to do. The computers completely run their world, and they don't really understand this. I guess the computer makes it so that they can't understand. but it's something that they kind of just live with and grow up with. So the computer, of course, wants to take over new worlds, make it do their bidding and whatnot, but what happens is they're just kind of brainless machines, really. Their bodies are completely incapable of acting on their own. And what happened in that one episode where Zim got captured by these alien worshippers, and he kind of freaked out. He was like, what do I do? Instead of making all these humans do his bidding, he just kind of wanted to go home. Because it's not his rulers that actually rule, it's the computers, so Irkens don't know what to do in positions of power. So, think of the tallest. The tallest, even though they're in positions of power, they don't really decide much. They can give pummelings to soldiers and give them puppet shows, but other than that, they don't have much in mind. They don't have anything in mind for the future of their people. They let the computers do all the work. Just think of that. Back to the episode with the pack. Dib ends up getting this thing stuck to him, and he freaks out, and he becomes more like Zim throughout the episode because the personality that's downloaded in his pack over here started rubbing off on him. It started like changing his mind and everything. And what happens is Zim, he started losing his personality. He started becoming more dull, if I remember correctly. And he basically tells a policeman that he needs his backpack back and that Dib stole it. And he said that his little brother was in his backpack along with some sandwiches. And so the police officer says, yeah, I lost my brother in a backpack once too. And of course goes to look for Dib. And all the way at the end of the episode, they manage to knock the backpack off of Dib. And it goes back onto Zim. And what happens is, if Irken loses his backpack for more than 10 minutes, they legitimately die out. And this backpack is what keeps them alive. It keeps the organs functioning. It keeps them as beings, which makes me think that if a computer wanted to dispose of an Irken that became a threat or became self-aware, they could easily just take off the backpack or rewrite the backpack's information itself and kill the Irken, or at least erase what the Irken was thinking about doing, or his plans and whatnot. Which makes me think about the Resiski and how they fear Irkens so much, because they aren't an actual race fueled by rage. They're computers fueling a race. Okay, I'm thinking too much, but... So, after 10 minutes, before 10 minutes is over, Zim gets his backpack back. He can never be happier. Another note I have to say about Irkens is that Irkens like Zim might be focused on ruling planets, but whatever was left of whatever race they might have been at one point in time is still present in the episodes. Like that one episode where Walk of Doom, where Zim gives Gur a guidance chip, and they get lost in the city, and so he starts yelling at Gur, and Gur starts crying because he finished his cupcake and he wants more cupcakes. And Zim thinks that Gur is crying because he was yelling at him, and he tries to like cheer him up in a very hard way to tell that he's actually trying to cheer him up. He tries changing the subject and everything. It's honestly pretty cute because Gur isn't crying because he's getting yelled at. He's crying because he doesn't have cookies. But Zim is a nice person either way. He doesn't understand much, but I think that's mainly a race issue because of the Irkens themselves rather than an issue with Zim. Speaking of issues with Zim, Zim, it is believed that Zim, he has a defective pack, which is the reason why he can't follow orders or do things very well. Because think of it, a pack is created. It's an Irken's entire mindset. It's what they plan to be, what they will be, and what they will succeed in. their height is honestly, I think it's mainly an issue with the body. I don't think it's something that the pack controls. But then again, the pack does keep them alive, so you can never be that sure. And what some fans believe is that Zim has a defective pack. And what happens is, because of this, he doesn't function like a normal Irken should. Following orders is a bit weird for him. He doesn't seem to understand that the Irkens are using him, even though it's very obvious to the other Irkens. Despite his plans, he rushes into things too quickly and messes up a lot. And generally, there's other things that you can see that other Irkens have not done that Zim has done, and it's not normal for him, despite his race. So some fans believe he has a defective pack, which causes him to be this way, and that if they ever found out, they might rewrite him and everything he is to fix this problem, and then he'll just be a loyal soldier, possibly under a different name, which makes you think that they might have done this already to other soldiers that also had defective packs. After all, if you're defective, you might as well just kill you if you're going to be a danger to a race. Well, that's according to a computer anyway. So there's that theory, which I follow strongly, I'm sorry. But I just think it fits in very well. And right here, I'm drawing a model of the pack with all of the wires coming out, because the pack does hold a lot of wires. And you can see that one episode where Zim was actually working on his pack, and the pack had one big wire and two small wires. Let me draw a model of this, actually, over to the side. Zim, he had a model. Well, he had holes in his back where wires connected to him. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing to have in the show, but let me draw the back of his head. Back to, I'm going to mention something about the antenna after I get this done, but so let's say this is his back, right? There was like a hole here, and it went over his outfit, which makes it think that the outfit is very skin tight and has holes in certain spots for the pack to connect. But I do remember one episode he put on his pack. I think Dib got into his house and he quickly had to put his pack on or something. And these three wires connected to his back, which further supports the idea that, you know what, the pack keeps him alive. Well, it's not really supporting the idea, because it's true that the pack does keep them alive. It's the biggest thing that could possibly keep them in place, but another thing is the fan names for the anatomy of Irkens. No, they are not official, but they have caught on, and some fans will beat you dead if you say the name of an Irken part wrong or something. Trust me, it's insane. I remember one time there was a fan that said, "Oh, Zim's antenna are so short," and somebody's like, "No, it's Leku." The fan made name for the Irken antenna is Leku. Let me spell it out for you. Lekku. It's a very cute word. It's very fun to say too. Leku. And there's fans that believe that Leku, before Irkens were a really developed species, as like they evolved or something, because there are fans that think about this stuff, that their Leku, much like ant antenna or insect antenna, basically work as kind of like eyes and motion sense, basically like a type of sonar. Think about a bat, how they can pick up sound waves and find the location of objects, even despite some of them being blind. So there was a theory that Irkens either didn't have eyes, or or needed their Leku to see. Another theory, another thing that makes a lot of sense as well, not just about the eyes, is that the Irkens probably need these their Leku or antenna to listen, because they don't have ears and they don't have noses either. See how weird that would look? I drew the dumbest looking nose in all of existence. But if they had noses, yeah, that's too creepy. I'm sorry. Irkens don't have noses and they don't have ears either. So what happens is fans believe that their antennae are used to hear and smell, if they can even smell at all. I mean, I'm not sure if Zim actually commented on the smell of anything. No, actually he has. Okay, I take that back. He calls Dib stink in one episode. Yeah, so they can hear and smell, but where? So there's an idea that they either have like very tiny holes on the side of their head that allows them to hear, which makes sense, but I like the antenna idea better. And for smelling, nobody came up with an idea for that, so it makes sense that they use their antennas. And of course there are other headcanons that follow that I'm not going to mention in this video, unless of course you like fry me and be like, and message me saying, I want to know, and I probably won't know what you're talking about by the end of this video. But basically, there are other ideas of troll anatomy that I'm going to get to once I color this in. Well, not color it in, but just draw some more. Okay, I showed you with the eyes. And I didn't get to you about the blood. There are die-hard InvaderZIM fans that once again will slaughter you if you say Irkens have a certain blood color. And you know what's ridiculous? I'm pretty sure Johnen has never mentioned what color his blood is. I'm pretty sure it was never mentioned in the show. So it could be up to you to decide. He has red blood? Great, he has red blood. He has light red blood, like Carcat from Homestuck, if you know what I'm talking about. Then great, he has bright red blood. And the main idea by fans is that Zim has purple blood. Mind you, that can be as cute as you want it to be. If you think he has purple blood, then fine. If you think he has red blood, fine. If you think he has orange blood, go to it. If you have, and there are headcanons, if you're a Star Trek fan, you'll understand the whole green blood thing. That, I'm pretty sure I'm getting this wrong, so please forgive me. But, human blood is based off of, iron, I believe. Unless that's something else, but, and, in Star Trek, Spock, Vulcans have green blood. This might be the wrong shade of green, and I apologize for that as well. Because it's some other type of element based. And because of what percentages make up the blood, 90% something, or 10% something. Because of what elements make up the blood, it makes it a different color, which is honestly super cool. I love it when fans do that. But what happens is, to be honest, if you want to make Zim's blood a different color, if you think his blood is blue, go with it. I mean, don't let anyone say otherwise. But some fans, there are a certain group of fans out there, I don't know who they are really, but they will kill you if you say his blood color is something different from purple. I have no idea where they got the purple thing from. Some of them insist that John and Vasquez said it somewhere, but where? Until I find the video, I won't believe. My personal idea is that Zim, because of his skin and complexity, has kind of dark green blood. my favorite headcanon is that he has human-colored blood, actually. Wrong color. Still wrong the color. Same difference. Well, my favorite idea is that Zim has human-colored blood because if he ever got cut or bruised, then the bruise will show up as red, and nobody would question if he were human or not. And my idea is that, depending on what contents he's breathing in, the human food he's eating, and all that stuff, how his, body reacts is by changing his blood color and what it's made stuff of. Because Irkens are very adaptive, if you've seen, the show. Zim, because he put glue on his skin, is more resistant to water than he was in the episode The Wetting. So in other episodes, when he gets wet, it's not like, oh my god, I'm on fire. But when he gets hit with soda or impure water, he still burns. Because of this, there's the adaptive theory that because of what type of air he breathes in, because Irkens have been on many different planets, but they've never had any problems with oxygen or anything else like that, really. And the idea is that Irkens, whatever air they breathe in, their blood color changes to fit the needs of that, and that their lungs are very adaptive, as the rest of their body is, like their skin. Oh, and then I need to make a checklist. I need to get to food in a little bit, so I'm going to write that down over here, because I will definitely forget. So, basically, there's an idea that on Irk, their blood color is green because of what makes up the air. And then on Earth, because of the elements in our air, his blood is red and nobody questions it. Like, if you get cut, if you saw a kid with a skin disorder and his skin was like very ashy and gray or something, and he got cut and started bleeding red, you wouldn't question it. But if Zim were to get cut and he started bleeding in green, you would be like, oh wow, is there something wrong with you? If you saw the blood anyway. So my idea is that even if he did get cut or scraped, because he does fight with Dib a lot. And it would be pretty weird if he didn't get bruises or cuts from all his battles and whatnot. And he did get attacked by a dog more than... Actually, I know he got attacked definitely by a dog once. I'm not sure if he got attacked by a dog more than once. In episode 1, definitely, but... If he were bleeding a different color, it'd be pretty strange to me. I don't know, I'm thinking too much. So there's that adaptive theory about blood. So, by the way, if you fight with somebody saying that Zim's blood is a certain color, don't. Just don't. That's rude. Kind of. Unless you know for a fact, a 100% fact. You saw a video, you have the video on your computer, you were there as John and Vasquez said it, that his blood is a certain color. Don't fight with other fans that think, hey, I want his blood to be purple. That would be so cute if you were blushing purple. Yeah. Fans have ideas. Don't shoot them down, please. That's really messed up. So, those are my headcanons. Like, sometimes I'll draw Zim, depending on where he is, like, bags under his eyes or something. I don't know. Like, think of bruises and scrapes. And if they were red, nobody would question it. Like, they question his skin enough already. Anyways. Oh, yes. Going on to their food. I don't know how long I've been blabbing on. But I do know I'll probably have to stop and end this episode soon. I hope you're enjoying this. Watching me blab on about things I like. Well, anyways. There's a thing about Irkens and the food that they eat. As you can tell, the Irken soldiers, in the last episode, or whatever the script I remember reading from one of the unfinished episodes, was that, there was somebody that broke into the Irken Armada ship, and I forgot how it looks. Irken ships are very... circular, I think. Irken Insomnia. very squishy looking Irken Insomnia. And let's say the food was... and that this was the person driving and whatnot. So there was a part of the script where basically the food supply, which was just full of sugary snacks, was breaking into. And the point I'm going to make about that is that Irkens probably have a diet consisting of mainly sugary sweets, which is why when Zim eats waffles in that one episode, he doesn't get hurt by it because of how sweet it is. And my idea is that other foods that aren't mainly composed of sugar don't do well with Irkens. So let's say if Zim were to have a human candy bar, I think that would be perfectly fine. Let's put the H on a candy bar because why not? I believe if he were to have sugar and sweets, like on that Halloween... well, no, he doesn't eat sweets on the Halloween episode, not that I think of. But my idea is that if Zim would have sweets, he would be perfectly fine, even if they did come from Earth because of how much sugar is in them. Because sugar works well with his stomach. Or Squeedly Spooch, which I will also get to. And the Squeedly Spooch, as mentioned in one of the episodes, seems to be a mixture of both kidneys, stomach, and stomach and liver. So it all seems to be condensed into one big organ that processes all the food and puts them down into one storage containment chamber, really. And of course they have a type of heart organ which might also function as a lung, according to some fans, but some fans think that they're separate. It's obvious that Irkens have more than just one organ. There are some fans that have made that mistake. They're saying that Irkens only have one organ, and this is not true. I'm very sorry. It isn't true. The one episode where it showed all of Zim's insides, where he was like, "Oh, my squeedly spooch," and whatnot. It shows more than one organs. He said squeedly spooch, but he has organs all over him, so I don't know what I'm going with those scribbles. But in that one episode, he has more than one organ, so if you think he has only one organ, you're sadly misinformed. Don't freak out over it. Just know it now. So basically, another thing about food is that foods that aren't very sugary, let's say like very spicy foods, probably don't digest well. I mean, imagine if your diet consisted of only sugary foods and then one day you're just fed of really just pure spice and you have no idea what's going through your system. You must be so confused. If you saw the anime Inuyasha, think about the first time Inuyasha tries a spicy food and he starts freaking out because he says, well, this food is hot, but it's not like hot as in heat. It's hot in another way, and he freaks out and he starts drinking a ton of water from the sink or something. It took them a while to kind of explain, yes, some foods have something called spice. Well, that idea is kind of adapted into a theory that Irkens, if they were to have spicy food, it wouldn't go well with them, like as well as some other types of foods that humans would normally be able to eat because of how their diet consists of mainly sugar. Oh, and another headcanon that's beautiful, I love this one, is that Irkens have water on their planet, but because there's no planet without water, really, but their water is also composed of mainly sugar. So their water is honestly very greenish in tint, which would mean that their home planet is full of this greenish type of water. Because otherwise, what would they wash themselves in, really? So it's believed that their water is a type of slimy green, and that this green is what they use as water, really. which is why the water that he gets attacked with in that one episode doesn't go well with him, because it's not the water from his planet, and it's not sugary, so his skin and the rest of him reacts really bad, like, okay, this isn't sugary, it must not be edible, it must not be consumable, it must be some type of weird poison entity. So there's that idea. And damn, so much sketches. So really there's the idea that the water is type of greenish, mainly sugar-based water. Of course I say sugar-based, but that can mean anything. It can mean the water's kind of brownish too, because there's brown sugar and everything, but because they're aliens, they could have any type of sugar, really. A foreign type of sugar unknown to us. I say green because, I don't know, I think that color is just very well known in their society. It could be red, it could be any other color. Once again, it's up to you. What you want to believe in, really. So so many headcanons. So many beautiful headcanons. So, those are some theories. The whole pack and how the computers run their society. This is the worst computer ever. I love how I say computer and I'm referring to this tiny box I drew. So basically, forgive me, I say so basically a lot. Basically, I mean, the idea is that computers completely run their society, and that their blood. I went over so many things in this one episode. The antenna, how it's used as their ears and nose, how the pack is basically their entire life, really. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Oh yes, there's one other thing you have to get to if you're talking about InvaderZIM. The language. The beautiful language of Irkens, which I learned how to write in years ago, and sometimes I get things wrong, forgive me. G. Oh, G look like... Yes. Trying to remember. Of course, I'm not drawing it very accurately, so... kind of just scribbling it. The language. Depending on what alphabet you use, of course. So, there is more than one Irken alphabet. The gasp. This is such a big surprise. I actually have a sheet for the other Irken alphabet on... I memorized the There's 3 languages. There's FC, which is the fan-created language. There is OC, which is the originally created language, as it is called. I'm gonna try to copy it exactly how I see it. I don't know how to write this very well. This looks so wrong. This is... So basically, there are 3 languages, and I'm gonna try to demonstrate what this one looks like, but I'm having trouble. Where is it? Oh yes, and also, the OCA language is missing the letters V, W, X, Y, and Z, which means Zim can't spell his own name in Irken, which is beautiful. G, U. Why is this so complicated? This makes no sense. This kind of pigeon foot thing. E. Oh dear God. What is this? This looks so wrong. I'm sorry, I do this one completely wrong, and this one is kind of squiggles because I know how to write it, but I kind of forgot. And then there is AC, the actually created language, so which is question marks. Great, you know how to write Irken. So basically, in the fan-created language, a very dedicated fan, studied how the actual letters looked, took some of them, and, like, put his own versions of them, basically. Another person studied the language very well, looked at a few bonus clips, went through a whole bunch of the episodes, and wrote down the sentences and tried to write down what they meant and what they stood for. So it took the second guy a very long time to decode all of these symbols. And for the actually created language, nobody knows. Because if you actually go back into the episodes, like I have done many times, and you look for either of these symbols, both symbols from both languages show up, but in ways that don't make sense. I mean, if this was the actual language, then all of these symbols would be showing up, and not the ones from these. But that doesn't happen for some reason. Some of these symbols look alike, but they not to that point. The actually created language seems to be some type of mix between both of these, and you can't really understand it. If somebody could explain that to me. These are just my nicknames for languages. There's just language 1, language 2, and there is no language 3. I'm just trying to use that as an example, but the actual Irken language, as seen in the episodes, nobody knows about. The alphabets we do have knowledge of, and you know what, if you want to write fan fiction in the fan-created language, go ahead. In the original created language, if you're going to avoid words that have V, W, X, Y, and Z in them, which means you would have to never, ever, ever mention Zim's name, then you can go ahead with that too. I'm pretty sure there actually are fonts where if you type in the letter L, these symbols show up. Yeah, if you were to type in L, the Irken L would show up. There was, I think I have written stories and entire pages and pages and pages of notes and things from that and from school in Irken, in the fan-created language, which, right over here. So, in other words, the InvaderZIM fan base, we have a long way to go, because there's so much that we don't know, and there's so much that needs to be explained, so many things that we need to decode. A cool thing is that since InvaderZIM, it was created by Nickelodeon, all of the shows made by Nickelodeon that came out at the same time as InvaderZIM had invaders go to those planets. There's, for example, I forget which invader it is, but Dragon Ball Z Kai came out when InvaderZIM came out, I believe, or came back, if I remember correctly. And I do remember there was an invader sent to planet Namek, which is pretty awesome if you think about it. I saw this on the InvaderZIM Wikia, so I'm not sure how 100% this information is, but if they actually did do it this way, then that's pretty awesome. InvaderZIM's outfit, it is 100% clear that he has a collar, and it's not clear if he has buttons. It is clear that he has, it is also not clear if these are stripes or actual ridges on his uniform that have indents. Oh, there's always something to talk about in InvaderZIM, I swear. It is clear he also has sleeves, but it is not clear if this is a vest of some sort. So in other words, draw his outfit however the hell you want. You can put his insomnia in the middle, or You can put his insomnia on the side like I'm doing now. You can give him buttons if you want because nobody cares. Draw a Zim how you want is basically what I have to say in the long run. Another thing is, Zim, his skin color is very lime colored, if I can explain that correctly. A very tint of lime. So if you ever have problems coloring him in, just remember, Zim is very lemony. He's not very green. If you were to look at the green on the color scale that's closest to blue, or in the middle over, actually this is a bad example, you can't see my color wheel from over there. If you're coloring Zim a green on the shade of the color wheel, or from this side of the, or from the middle of the color wheel, that's a little bit inaccurate. If you want to put it that way. Depending on what light he's in, though, like if he was in a forest and there was blue light shining on him, because he was in the middle of night and like there was dark blue light going on him, yeah, then his skin color would be around here because of the light on him. But in the normal day or in his lab, his skin color is going to be pretty much consistent with this very light color. Let me go along with my idea that Zim has red blood, and I will demonstrate it over here by adding highlights to his face. If he had red blood, you wouldn't see red, you would see a more green that's closer to the color of red on the scale. And the parts of him where you would see blood more, the parts of his skin where you would see blood circulating better, if that makes any sense, would just be closer to red on the scale. It won't actually be red, which is a problem I had with color when I was little. Well, littler. Another thing is, some people are like, Zim's eyes are red. No, his eyes are actually pink. And so are his teeth. His teeth are not white. His teeth are a very pale pink color, as are his eyes. Going on to his eyes, I don't want to make this a drawing lesson or anything. This is honestly just a thing about Irken anatomy. But let's say his eyes are the shade of pink, which, to be honest, I doubt that his eyes would be this dark. But then again, it might be the colors that's surrounding him, and now that's confusing me. But Irkens have two reflections on their eyes, and one problem I see most in some fan artworks is that you kind of put the two reflections like that. They're the same size and they're kind of just there. In actuality, and you can look to the show and see this for yourself, Zim's eyes, they have an actual reflection, which is a reflection up at the top, and his actual eye is the bigger one, and the bigger one is in the direction where he's looking. In this one, he's looking down, like in this picture that I'm drawing right now. He's looking down, and you can see how he's looking this way. Wait, let me make a darker color. He's looking that way, and you can kind of tell because of how his eyes are formed. The bigger circle over here is where his eyes are actually looking. So if you ever have problems, if it looks like your Irkens, or if you're drawing and you're trying to draw Zim or something, or your own character, and he looks like he's kind of staring out into space, it's because the reflection on his eyes are going into the wrong place. So that's just a tip to make it look a bit more accurate. Some people do argue that that's not how his Irken eyes work, but you know what? It's just easier to draw characters this way, so even if it wasn't 100% accurate, it'd be pretty nice because you'd be able to make your characters look in a specific direction, and it just makes life so much easier. I'm pretty sure that is how it works in the actual show. But once again, I could be wrong. Remember, fans aren't always 100% right. So be sure to verify everything. That's why headcanons exist, which are just ideas that fans have. If you heard me say the word headcanons throughout this video, that means not 100% certain, but a lot of people believe in it because it fits in with what happened in the show. A headcanon also doesn't have to be... A headcanon is also based off of what people believe. So, but it has to be accurate to what you've seen in the show. So think about a headcanon that Zim enjoys, I don't know, popcorn. No, wait, no, that wouldn't be accurate. Nah. Think of a headcanon that specifically goes against canon in every single way. Say that some people... No. Oh, I came up with a good one. Say there's a headcanon that Zim loved Gaz ever since he laid his eyes on her. That isn't true because he saw her at school and Irkens don't really do things the same way as humans. Oh, think about Irkens and love. Oh god. Irkens are created in machines. They have no need for falling in love. They have no need for hating. No, they could hate anybody they want. But they have no need for love. The system just completely died out. Nobody loves each other in the Irken world. It's mainly just do what the computers tell you and do exactly what the computers have assigned you to do. So with time, it pretty much is certain that there has been no love on their planet. Which, don't freak out. Don't be like, are you saying that my fanfiction is not going to become real? Are you going to say that Zim will never fall in love with Gaz? No, I'm not saying that. But one thing is that basically Irkens don't have love in their society. So if Zim were to fall in love, that would either mean that he adapted to human society over the years and his mindset has been changing as his part over time and Earth, but it would not mean that Irkens that have not left home, because Irkens like Sizzlor. If Sizzlor has never been to Earth, or if he's never seen a planet with love on it, then he would have no idea what it is. He would legitimately be so confused. A lot of Irkens would be if there was an Irken just doing a normal daily job like fixing machines on Irk or something. Oh, another thing is, it's not 100% certain that Irkens come from Irk. Their meeting hall, some people say Irkens come from Conventia. No, Conventia is their meeting hall planet, but nobody's 100% sure what their planet is called. It might be called Irk, it might not be. I'm not 100% sure if John and Vasquez ever verified what it was called, but I'm pretty certain that it might not be called Irk. You can call it Irk or whatever the heck you want, really. I call it Irk because I don't have any other name to call it. And looks like we're almost done with the Zim I'm drawing over here. So basically, love doesn't really work the same way as humans love, which is kind of just something that happens, I guess, because imagine growing up and computers being telling you what you're supposed to do with your life, but instead of being like, no, you can't tell me what to do, and you're kind of like brainwashed into thinking, okay, the computer has everything laid out for me. It's just kind of like that, really. I don't know where I'm going with this. I had so many things I was going to mention, but what else was it about Irken Society? Irkens take a lot of things very literally. Like the episode where Zim gets sent back to work as a fry cook. Oh, also about being a fry cook, the ironic part is that the computers and the school on career day said that the only thing Zim would be good at is being a fry cook. And that's exactly what his job was on Irk, which is kind of insulting, really, but Irkens kind of take things very literally. And an example of this is in the episode where the fry cook that came from space, I believe is the name of the episode, when Sizzlor comes and takes Zim back to the food planet. I forgot what it's called. So when he takes Zim back to work at the food place, and Zim says, you might be laughing now, but you won't be laughing later, something like that. And the thing is, Sizzlor looks at him and he gets so confused and he says, but I wasn't laughing. In fact, I haven't laughed since yesterday. So Irkens take things quite literally, and Zim has realized that there's something wrong with everything because he kind of grew up in a world where everyone was like, if you're taller, you must be smarter, you must be more superior, you must be stronger. Oh, I was going to get to that. All right. So he was kind of living in this world where everyone just believed if you're taller, then you're so much better than everyone else. And he goes to Earth and he says, humans are tall, but they're dumb. And he tells this to the tallest, and the tallest don't understand. They're so confused by it. They question him so many times. They say, wait, let me get this straight. So they're tall, but they're not smart? They get so confused, and they're thinking that Zim is insulting them or something, and Zim is 100% serious, which is pretty awesome. Like, you start thinking might be because he has a defective PAK, or because he went to Earth in particular, that he thinks that he starts to understand that height does not mean you're smart. Another thing is, speaking about how adaptive Zim has become, is that Zim has been gaining height. He's been becoming taller, along with all the other students in his class. All the other students in his class, as they become taller episode by episode, if you go through all the episodes in order, you can see how that Zim is very tiny in episode 1, and in the other episodes he's become taller. If you go to the episode where, in episode 1, when he stood beside Scooge, and he was pretty much so much smaller than Scooge, and the episode where he meets Scooge again, or I forgot what episode it was, maybe it was Hobo 13. He's almost, I'm not sure if he's almost as tall as Scooge or if he's actually taller than Scrooge, but he's grown a lot, and you can see him episode by episode growing, and Dib also gains height, and I knew there was something wrong with this picture, but I couldn't put my finger on it, and now I realize that Dib is missing the most amazing glasses in all the world. Let me... So, basically, Zim has kind of learned a lot, and because of his adaptation thing, he's grown taller. And it makes way for great fan fiction, because if Zim takes so long to go to Earth, he takes a long time to try to take over Earth, that means he would just keep growing, most likely. And if he got into high school, he'd probably be almost as tall as the tallest, because he'd just keep growing, and like the other humans, as an adaptive type of thing. Which is, I'm gonna make a comic. I'm not sure where I'll put it or when it'll come out, but I'm trying to make a comic, just a fan-made thing, where Zim is in high school and he learned how to adapt even more over time. you'll see, and I'm actually starting working on it on paper first. But on the paper copy, on basically what happens is Irkens only have 3 fingers, while humans have not 3 but 4. If you watch the actual show, you kind of see that Zim, his fingers work kind of like weird fork-looking things. So his fingers, he only has 3. He has like a thumb and 2 main fingers. So in my story, what happens is he learns to adapt, and he builds 2 robotic fingers to try to fit in with other humans. And these fingers have receptors really that connect inside of his skin to his nerves. And one of the pages of my comic, what happens is Dibs tries saying, "Look at Zim," based on the whole red blood thing I just explained. He says Zim Zim only has 3 fingers, not 5. And he tries to take off one of Zim's fingers, but it's because it's connected to his actual hand. What happens is the finger comes out and whatnot, but he kind of ripped out and tore his skin, which causes him to bleed a whole bunch, and everyone freaks out like, "You broke Zim's finger" or something. I found my comics are so dumb. Anyway, so yeah, if you want to read a kind of dumb comic, you can read my comic. I'll probably put a link in the description when it comes out. Well, it already came out, but when I draw it on the computer and make pages and all that. Back to not Troll Anatomy. Dear God, I'm thinking about Homestuck. I'm sorry. I might have said that more than once throughout the whole course of the video. I'm sorry if I did. I didn't want to confuse anybody. If you've seen The Tallest, you'll note that they have normal heads like Irkens that kind of point back, and normal eyes and whatnot. Think just draw some generic type of Irken here. Let's give him a scar, make him different. Let's say this guy was the tallest. Let's name him Zerba. Yes, Zerba here, who has a metallic forehead because metallic foreheads are cool. Oh my god, and like a metallic part of his cheek. Oh my god, I'm in love with this guy already. Alright. Let's say Zerba. I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun with this. Let's say Zerba here was the tallest. Then I'm drawing this wrong. Thinking about the tallest's uniform, they kind of have a very large uniform over here along the top, and then it shrinks into these creepy little spine things, really, and then they have the rest of their outfit and whatnot. But this makes me think that they also have very, very bony hands, which is kind of surprising, really. Let's say that those are his hands, and he just I guess some dog just took a crap on the floor in front of him, and he's like, "What the heck is that?" Sorry. I thought that would be funny, and it wasn't. So, because of this outfit, they must be really thin. I mean, it tries to emphasize how tall they are, but it makes me think that, like, if this was an Irken's neck, I'm. This is very weird looking. Let's say this was an Irken's neck, and that was his shoulder blade, and this was his back. Think of, this is the weirdest leg I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god. Let's say this was your typical Irken leg or something. Yep, totally. It makes me think that they kind of have no spine. They're very weird curve there, and that if they had like a corset or something, like the Irken tallest, then all they would have is this tiny bone in their arm. So it makes me think that Irkens have some really weird bone structures or something. I also like the whole Irkens have stripes idea. I'm sorry, I'm having way too much fun with this. These aren't stripes, this is really crappy shadowing. Yeah, so it's kind of weird because it's like their ribs or whatever's holding in the organs over here must be very tight bone, and over here it must be the everything else, really. I'm not really sure if they have nubby legs too. It would make sense, but I guess I'm not very Oh yes, another thing is Irken eye color. There are people that believe, like, think of a guy, Irken, which will be over here, that they have these eyes, right? And that the only color they can possibly be is red. Yeah, this is really badly drawn. Let me draw a pair of eyes. There are people, hey all you people, hey all you people, hey all you people, da 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 da. Alright. There are people that believe that the only eye colors Irkens can have are red, like tallest red, purple, like tallest purple, pink, like ZIM. These are all coming up as very messy colors. Pink, like ZIM, or like a deep purple, like TAC. So people argue about the eye colors being only that, but in reality, there have been other Irkens throughout the show who have very brownish eyes, like Invader Dookie, which is a pun because his eyes are brown and something else is brown. So there's that joke that runs throughout the show. If you know the Invader at all, that is. There's I forget which Invader has this, but there's an Invader with very tiny eyes, and his eyes are very gold. He quite literally has amber eyes. And so invader eyes can be a whole array of different colors. I believe there was also like blue eyes. I've seen there was an invader with blue eyes in the show, which is pretty interesting nonetheless. So the only color really that I haven't seen, and you can kind of argue that the color doesn't exist for Irkens, is green. I haven't seen an Irken with green eyes as of yet. There might be one in the show somewhere and I haven't seen them, but green is the only color that I don't think Irken's eyes can be. They might be. If you have a fan character with green eyes, don't freak out, because oh my god, there haven't been any Irkens with green eyes in the show, because there might have been one and I haven't seen it. Or I don't know, I guess it is possible that Irken's eyes might not be this color, but because they are created from machines and computers make errors all the time, there might be a character where they have green eyes because of a mutation or something that went wrong with the computer. Like Zim, for example. And how his strange way of thinking kind of affects the show. There are also a whole bunch of different shapes of Irken heads. So if someone argues, oh, his face looks too cute and humanish, screw him. So I think those are mainly my notes on Irken anatomy that I've taken. Oh, another thing is, there are also diehard fans that will freak out if you give Irken's eyelashes. Like, say your character, or Zim, or if you're drawing Zim, or if you have your own character that's a guy, Irken, and you give him eyes, and you also kind of give him eyelashes on the side of his eye, just barely. Or if you draw a side view and you can kind of see his eyelashes if his eyes are closed, something like that. And a fan is like, no, guy Irkens don't have eyelashes. Well, they probably do, actually. I mean, the girl Irkens, if you've seen them in the show, they have very long eyelashes at the ends, especially. You can kind of see how their eyes branch out. Let's make this tack, because why not? And most of the female Irkens have very, very long and dramatic eyelashes, very anime-ish, kind of. And if girl Irkens have very long eyelashes and you can kind of see them in the show is very simplicated, has a very simple art style. So, you know what? Just because girls Irkens from the show have very long eyelashes and you can see them, and guys don't have any eyelash marks, doesn't mean that guys don't have eyelashes. I mean, they have to blink somehow, right? And if that were true, that would mean Dib doesn't have a... No, actually, Dib is a bad example because he wears glasses, but other guys in the show don't have eyelashes that prominent either, but that doesn't mean that they don't have eyelashes. So, if you think Irkens have eyelashes, then, yeah, you kind of follow through with the show. If you don't think Irkens have eyelashes, well, they're aliens. Believe whatever you want, really. Just don't fight with each other. I really hate it when fans fight with each other. When you're brethren, you're in the same, and not clan, I'm thinking about video games right now. You're in the same fandom. So, don't fight over things like this. So I clarified things over the eyes. I went over a whole bunch of other things in the show, like water and whatnot. And so far, I think that's all of my notes and things I had to say about InvaderZIM. If you're a fan, you sat through this whole video, and then, if you think the video was pretty great, then please rate or comment or whatever. If you think the video kind of was dumb, then give it a dislike. because I want you guys to be honest. And that was it. And I hope you enjoyed. This has been I can't really say it's been a production of something, but this has been very fun and whatnot, so hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or whatever, leave a video response or a comment or whatever. Inbox me. Even though I don't check my inbox ever. I'm sorry. It'd kind of be best if you left me a comment, then I would get an email and I would probably answer it right away. Any questions about Irkens? Please feel free to ask. We can leave little Zerba over here to give us our amazing farewells. So, thank you for watching. Have a good one.